Hey budget nerds! Today we'll be checking out yet another drone, and this one is from Snaptane as well. This is the SP600. It comes in between $100 and $120 at the time of this video. Does this drone have what it takes to justify that price point? Let's sit back, turn up the volume a notch or two, and check it out. Snaptane has been launching a bunch of new products lately. There are other reviews in the description if you want to see others. All the ones I've gotten my hands on so far have been pretty good. This one is much pricier than the rest, so I have much higher expectations for this drone. It's packed with features like a 720p camera with FPV or first-person view support, voice control, gesture control, altitude hold, headless mode, one-key return, one-key takeoff and landing, VR mode, 3D flips, multiple rates, and you can control the drone with your phone or the controller. Let's take a look at what you get. You can see the features listed on the box, and inside it's all contained nicely in styrofoam. Picking up the drone, it doesn't feel like it would break easily, but it does have a bit of a cheap feel to it. I get that impression partially because it's so light. My guess is this drone uses brushed motors, which aren't as powerful nor efficient as their brushless cousins, and they had to make the drone light to get the performance they wanted. Generally, lightweight isn't a problem, but we can check out later how the lightweightness affects the flying. But on the plus side, it's light enough you do not have to register it with the FAA. Anyway, back to the box and on to the controller. It has a soft plastic feel finish that actually feels pretty nice. The buttons do feel a bit toy grade. The joysticks are okay, but I did find it hard to control the drone precisely because the joysticks just aren't high enough quality. And I found that the left one does rub on something when you move the joystick to certain locations. The right shoulder button is very clicky, while the left one feels very mushy. Could just be my controller. I discovered later that the controller I got didn't come with any screws to hold it together. Upon pulling it out of the styrofoam a second time, the controller just came apart. This particular kit must have gone through a batch where quality control was a bit lacking. I found a few screws that would work and hot glued the rest. None of the other drones Snaptane sent had this issue, but definitely an issue nonetheless. After getting a look at the innards of this controller, the only really impressive thing about it is the soft plastic finish on the outside. But to be fair, once it was put back together, it did work as it should. You get two 3.7 volt 1600 milliamp hour batteries that charge with these two USB chargers. Flight times were around 14 minutes, 17 seconds, which is pretty close to their claim. And charge times would take as much as 3 hours. You get the phone holder for the controller, prop guards, landing legs, documentation, and your spare blades, screws, and two blade screw caps. The pairing process is the same as with any Snaptane drone. Turn on the drone, then the controller, press up and then down on the left stick, and then down and right on both sticks to calibrate it. At this point you can press the auto takeoff, or you can manually take off by pressing the two joysticks down and outward, and then pressing up on the left stick to take off. You can also use one of the voice commands to take off, but in order to do that, you need to control the drone with the phone and not use the controller. To record video, take pictures, and do the gesture control, you can still use the normal controller, but you'll still need to connect the phone to the drone. To connect the phone, download the Snaptane Era app. You'll find it in the App Store or Google Play Store. After it's installed, you can then connect the phone to the drone's Wi-Fi. It only supports 2.4 gigahertz. Make sure the drone is on, pull up your Wi-Fi on your phone and select the drone's Wi-Fi hotspot and connect to it. It might want you to also turn off your cell data, not sure why. Once connected, open the app and slide right or left to select the drone you have. In this case, it's the SP600, and then press Function Display. Now you are presented with the FPV feed of the onboard camera and the buttons for control. At this point, you can decide to just use the phone to control the drone or pair the controller and use it. You can clip on the phone holder onto the controller and have the phone sit up there for the FPV, should you choose to use the controller and the phone. I did find the angle of the clip to be too steep, and sometimes I found myself tilting the controller forward to see the screen on the phone. Also, with the phone attached to the controller was very top-heavy. Controlling the drone with the app worked much better than I thought it would. I was able to keep it pretty steady in the house. In the app, you have all the special functions along the top as buttons. It's a bit hieroglyphic, nothing's labeled, but you can figure them out with enough time. If you're just using the phone, then all of the buttons in the app should work. But if you're using the controller to control it and have the phone connected, only some of the buttons in the app will work. It was a bit confusing pressing the buttons in the app until I figured that out. The FPV feed looked pretty good, and the delay wasn't bad. When I tried flying just by the FPV feed, I found myself just constantly correcting the drone to keep it in place. So there is some delay in play here. I wouldn't expect to be able to control it in fine-tuned flight through the FPV. The 3D flip mode works well, but you'll want to make sure you have plenty of space. Gesture mode just lets you take pictures and video by making either a peace sign or holding your hand up, respectively. It worked well, but a bit gimmicky. Sometimes it would think we were doing a gesture when we weren't, so you'll find a few random photos or videos. These photos and videos save to the phone. There's no onboard memory or slot for any external memory. So anyway, how does the thing fly? For me, this is the most important part. Well, I'm happy to report that overall it flies well. It has 3 rates of speed. Rate 1 isn't too bad indoors, and rate 3 has enough speed for it to be fun. Outdoors, though, it seems to be affected by even light wind. Based on its size, you wouldn't think that would be an issue, but because of its lightweightness, it is. You can see it here being affected just as much as their Snaptane SP310 mini drone. It's really a shame because this thing could really shine outdoors, where you'd have some room to open it up and let it go. Plus, outside is where you'd really want to go film and take pictures. Fly it on a calm day and it would be great, but with wind you spend more time than I care keeping it in place. Worth noting that once, it totally freaked out on me outside, and I could barely keep it from crashing. It was acting like its gyro was freaking out. Only happened once, though. Other times it would randomly just start tanking for the ground like it's trying to land. But this was rare. The voice features sort of worked. I wanted enough space to try it, as most would, so I took it outside. But since it's not great in the wind, I was constantly correcting it with the phone controller and really never got to issue anything other than the occasional command. When using the voice commands, you can't use the normal controller, so I'm not really sure where is a good place to use the voice controls. Maybe inside of a gym? I could never get the left and right voice commands to work either, but the rest would work when I got the chance to issue them. The landing gear isn't very wide, and that means that when you land it, and especially do an auto land, oftentimes it will tip over upon landing. If you manually land and get a bit of practice, then you can stick a landing. The headless mode and the return to home mode are pretty much the same systems they have on their small mini drones, so it doesn't feel special at all. Check out the other vids if you want to learn about them. I didn't use them on the mini drones, and I didn't use them on this one. For the extra money you're spending, I would have hoped that headless mode and return to home modes would have been a bit more capable, but that doesn't seem to be the case. The pictures it took looked pretty good. Sometimes a little washed out, but not bad. The video was okay for a toy-grade drone, but its bitrate is a bit low. The video is transferred and saved to your phone over the drone's Wi-Fi. If the feed cuts, so does your video. One of the coolest things this drone does is VR mode. Once you turn on VR mode, you can place your phone in a VR headset of your choosing and see the FPV that way. It's not in 3D, it just shows the same image in each eye, but it's still pretty cool. It's really neat and a lot of fun to fly this way. Just make sure you have a spotter if you do. Take this outside on a calm day and fly this for a while, and you'll be sad you only have 2 batteries. I didn't test the range, but I did fly it far enough for my taste, and I didn't have any issues. Well, to wrap this up, there are several things I like about this drone, but there are also several issues too. For me, other than the video, FPV, pictures, and the VR mode, the rest I could take or leave. Despite not being very capable in the wind, when I just forgot about all the rest and just flew the thing around, that's when I had the most fun. So, would I recommend the drone? I'm not sure, if I'm honest. It's a hard sell. It's not a bad drone, it's fun to fly, and some of the features are neat, but at $100 to $120, and with some of the issues I mentioned, it sits at that awkward price of wanting to be more than a toy-grade drone, but at the same time totally just being a toy-grade drone. A lot of the features you would want to use outside, but it doesn't handle wind well. But it doesn't quite feel like it wants to stay in the house all the time either, so it's not sure where it wants to be. If it was a bit cheaper, say at $80 maybe, then I'd say grab one. At $100 to $120 though, there are a lot of good drones out there, and competition is fierce these days. Heck, grab one of the Snaptane SP310s instead. If it goes on sale or you do decide to grab one, I still do have a link in the description. If you do grab one, comment and tell me your thoughts. Am I way off? Did I nail it? Do you like yours? Let me know in the comments. Happy flying.